Hey, what's going on, guys? I hope you guys are having a good day. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, the Black Business School. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. The Black Financial Channel is where we discuss financial issues on a regular basis and kind of give you an economic breakdown of important issues that are happening in the world. If you want to subscribe to the Black Financial Channel, go to theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. If you're watching on the Black Financial Channel already, make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be made aware when we go live on this platform. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about today really quickly is this little beef between the NBA and the whole country of China. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you are aware of what's going on between the NBA and China. It's really interesting. It's an excellent display of powernomics in action. For those of you that are students of finance, if you're in the Black Business School, if you haven't joined, you should join theblackbusinessschool.com. You can actually get started for free. You can speak to our experts right now for free about what your plans are. Well, here's what's going on with the NBA and China. The NBA stands to lose billions of dollars in this dispute, basically over democracy. Apparently, someone with the Houston Rockets made a tweet. A guy named Daryl Morey, I believe that's his name. He made a tweet supporting the pro-democracy demonstrations that are happening in Hong Kong. Right now, if you don't know about it, well, in Hong Kong, there's a massive protest that's been going on for weeks involving democracy. Basically, the Chinese government apparently is supposed to take control of Hong Kong, or they have after the 99-year lease from the British government. And the Chinese want to be able to extradite people from Hong Kong back to mainland China if they commit a crime, if they, use their free speech against the Chinese government, whatever the case may be. Well, if you know, the Chinese government does not like freedom of speech particularly. They're just not a fan of it at all. Their belief is that the best way to control 1 billion people is to pretty much control what they say and what they think. I've been to China a couple times. I taught a class in China, actually. I taught Chinese students. They were the best students in the world, the most respectful students I ever had. And a lot of it's because they don't, they just don't challenge the teacher. They don't challenge authority very much. So anyway, if you go to China, I don't know if anybody's been there or not, but if you go to China, I dare you to go to China and look up facebook.com. If you do that, you're not going to find anything. You're going to find a website does not exist. If you go to China and you look up youtube.com, it'll say YouTube does not exist. China, if you look up google.com, Google does not exist. Well, a lot of that's because the Chinese government doesn't necessarily like or support platforms that push for freedom of speech. Well, why does this matter now? Well, right now there's this dispute going on between mainland China and Hong Kong. And one of the, I think the general manager of the Houston Rockets issued a tweet. Daryl Morey, he put up a tweet where basically he said, fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong. And in this tweet, he ended up basically supporting the protesters over the government. Well, this set off the Chinese government, which caused them to basically say, we're not doing business with the with the Houston Rockets, not the human Rockets, with the Houston Rockets. We're also considering not doing business with the NBA. In fact, the Rockets and the NBA had a big contract with a Chinese company. I think it's called Tencent, that basically was responsible for streaming all their games nationwide. And they basically said, we're not streaming your games. You're going to come over here and play. We're not messing with you. We're not going to share your stuff. We're not going to do anything. And that's a big deal. That's a very big deal because the Chinese market is massive. And they love basketball. In fact, they love basketball more than people love basketball here. When I was in China, I remember they were terrible basketball players. That's one thing that was really funny. When I was teaching my class there, I remember all the students in my class all play basketball, all the boys. Because I asked one of the students, I said, it seems like everybody plays basketball. And I would go into the cafeteria and the NBA finals were on the big TV. And I said to the student, I said, does everybody here play basketball? And he said in his Chinese accent, he said, yes, all the boys in China play basketball. right? And now they're terrible basketball players. I went on the court and I felt like Michael Jordan because I'm a black man, right? So, and not just a black man, but some of the stereotypes do apply to me. And I was out there like going behind my back and going straight to the hoop and scoring all the points. It was great. I felt like a real player, but it was only because the competition was so bad. But the funny thing is that despite the fact they're not very good at basketball, they really love it, and that is a massive, massive market for the NBA. In fact, the NBA gets at least no less than 10% of its total revenue from the Chinese market. And a lot of people expect that percentage to grow significantly over time. In fact, the Rockets actually are going to be hit hard financially because the Rockets are the most popular team, NBA team in China, because of Yao Ming. So ultimately, they're going to end up having a major economic problem because here's the issue that they're faced with. It's kind of sandwiched in between two, perspectives, right? On one hand, if they confront the Chinese and they say, we're not going to apologize. We're not going to fire this guy. He had a right to say what he wanted to say. Then the Chinese government say, okay, no problem. We'll just cut off economic relations with you. We're going to just mess up your money. Now they could go and say, okay, we fired him. No more tweets. We're going to support you over Hong Kong. That's it. Well, the problem is that they, at that point, you're at risk of upsetting people in the United States who feel that you're supporting, anti-democracy initiatives because you want to make more money, right? So you're supporting tyranny because it's profitable to support a tyrannical administration. So, I don't really know how they're going to resolve this. All I know is that, this is something that really is a display of powernomics, right? It's really kind of an excellent lesson for those who want to understand how economics drives competition, how economics is warfare. The Chinese are not the people. If they get upset with you, the Chinese are not the ones that are going to put, aircraft carriers on your shores and do military exercises and try to scare the hell out of you because they might bomb you. That's what we do most of the time. But the Chinese are the ones who will just simply cut off the economic faucet. Like they use their money as a source of power. And the thing is, the reason it's important to understand this is because when you read books like Powernomics, which every black child in America should be reading books like this and understanding these principles, what you learn is that economics is used to control black people. That basically the first thing they do when they're upset with you is what do? They cut off your money. They fire you from your job, and you get so scared of getting fired that you don't say anything that's going to upset your boss because you're worried about losing money that's going to feed your family. So Powernomics is being played all around you. And what you have to understand is that money can be used either as a weapon or as a shield, right? It can either enslave you or it can liberate you. So when you raise your children without an understanding of economics, you are setting them up for slavery. Do you understand what I'm saying? Slavery isn't just being on a plantation in 1805 and being beat half to death. Slavery is simply a lack of freedom. Most black people in America are slaves. Many white people in America are slaves. Slavery just means that when you want to do something, you can't do it because somebody's telling you to do something else. That's what slavery kind of means, right? So, when you scale this back to, I remember everything I talk about isn't just for show, it's to really talk about your life and sort of help you figure out what your strategy is going to be. You need to understand how much of a deficit we put ourselves in as a community when we don't teach our children about economics at an early age. You have to understand that the slavery of black people in America is not only expected, but it's actually a direct natural outcome of not being prepared to have true power in a capitalist society. When you spend more time teaching your children how to dribble basketballs, throw footballs, and how to be rappers or whatever, instead of teaching them about economic principles, then you're preparing them for slavery. You're preparing them to become somebody's slave. When you let your kids go to inferior schools where they come out and they can't read, they can't write, can't count, can't do math, can't do none of that, you're setting them up for slavery. And so ultimately, I will just tell you that this is what this is all about. Right now, it's a power struggle. The NBA is like, we believe in freedom of speech. We want to do what we want to do. And the Chinese are like, you ain't going to do that on our dime. We ain't going to pay you to undermine our power. So make a choice. Either do it with the hell we say, or we're going to take that bread. Now, the NBA is in a different situation. It's not so much a slavery trade-off for them. It's more of a decision. You're weighing two things, right? You're not now. I'll tell you this much. If the NBA were a black-owned business, that was struggling for money, they would probably fold. They would probably fold and say, okay, you win, I'm good. The only reason the NBA can stand up to the Chinese government is because they're making so much money worldwide that they can still be profitable even without participation in the Chinese market, or even without the Chinese government pushing back on them, right? But I know a lot of Black-owned businesses, like Black-owned radio stations and TV networks and magazines, that will support any kind of tyranny, any kind of crazy message, any kind of false, unfortunate, corrupt belief, because they need the money that bad. In fact, every time there's an election, they will do things to suppress Black votes, both on the left and the right, by basically telling the Black radio stations, you need to make sure you don't do this and you do that. You tell your people to do this. You can't tell them to do that. Don't tell them to think for themselves. Tell them to vote for Hillary, or we're going to take that money from you. If you don't do what we say, we're going to take your money. And because they're desperate for money, then we end up folding every single time. So what I'm saying to you is that if you want to be in a position where you're free, if you want to be in a position where you can fight back, where you don't have to fold, get your money right. When you get your money right, you feel comfortable saying, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. And so this is a great example of Powernomics. It's going to happen all throughout your life. It's going to happen in the lives of your children. So make sure you teach them these principles and talk to them about these things so they'll be ready for the future. Now, anyway, I see Dallas is in the house. Arturio, sorry about what happened in Dallas with this whole crazy thing with the trial. I talked about that on drboycetv.com. So if you want to see that commentary, you can go to drboycetv.com. This is my financial channel, so I'm only going to hit financial topics over here. So this is theblackfinancialchannel.com. If you're watching on Facebook, just subscribe at theblackfinancialchannel.com. Please share this to your page. If you're watching on theblackfinancialchannel.com, if you could please hit the thumbs up button and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever we go live. And I want to say hi to everybody on Instagram. Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. Last but not least, if you want to check out any of my books, or like Powernomics, or my book The New Black Power, or Black American Money, you can actually go to drboycebooks.com. That's drboycebooks.com. And don't forget, we have our investment summit that's going to have our financial Juneteenth investment summit that's going to happen in New York City on October 27th. So if you want to sit in a small group exclusive setting with other like-minded, investment-minded wealth builders that look like you, feel free to go to drboycenewyork.com. That's drboycenewyork.com. So I'm out of here, guys. Have a good day. I'll see you soon. Peace.